Connecting the dots, connecting his guests to the world, creating more connections. Welcome to The Connection. Meet your host, author, coach, Air Force veteran, Jay Miralles.
I am joined by my friend DeDee Oliver today, and I'm so excited because DeDee and I met 29 years ago-ish.
Oh, at least.
At least.
Yeah.
And my hair was black.
It was.
It was very black, and I was really cool back then. But anyway, so DeDee, let's just jump right into it. So you got back from England, right? Was that England?
England, yes.
And I remember our friend, how did we connect? Was that right?
Mm-hmm.
And she introduced us, and take it from there. How old were we? I was like 20.
I want to say
22.
I think we were a little older than that.
Really?
Because I had Kale and Kylie.
Okay, yes.
And I had them. So we were later 20s, I think. We were 26, 27.
Yeah, okay. Could be.
Yeah.
Gosh, my lines are blurred. But it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, yeah.
And DeDee and I have been friends. We've kept in contact every now and then. We've randomly run into each other. But as a profession, we have run into each other even more in real estate. So DeDee, tell everyone now what you are doing currently and how long you've been a realtor for.
Yes, currently I am a associate broker at PJ Morgan. I have been in real estate since 1998.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So just a career that I have loved, and it gives you the flexibility and the freedom to be an on-hands mom and, never miss a kid's event, be able to be home during vacation and sick days. And so I love it.
And I've watched you grow. I mean, I remember when we lost contact for a while and then you popped up back on the radar as a realtor. I was like, she's a realtor? This is so cool, Yeah. And just talking amongst our friends, when we weren't talking, how they've either used your services or they used you as their agent or you've given them advice. And it was almost surreal to me because, like I said, when we met, we were just older kids.
Yeah.
And life has a way of taking everyone to their own path, but also reconnecting with everybody. So let's talk about that. You as a realtor, you talked about the flexibility and a little bit about raising family. I get that. But how have you been involved? So since 98, that makes it how many years now?
27.
Think about that for a second, right?
Yeah.
Most realtors don't last but 2 to 4 years, right? They figure they'll try it, they'll get on Instagram, they'll sell a house one time, and then it's hard. Yeah, 27 years. So what all things have you done in your 27 years? Have you ever served on a committee? Have you served on a board or anything like that?
Well, Jay, when I started, we didn't have the MLS.
Right. Pictures. I mean, right? Were they pictures in a book where you used to go to people's offices, right?
We would have a 3-ring binder very similar to this with all of your office listings in it. And you would hang your listings on your door or in your window so people could see what you had. And we did like agent tours to see all the new listings online because there was no online database.
Oh my God. I just thought about that because you're right. It was literally, and then the keys were in.
Well, we had like a little key that just opened every single lockbox with no like electronic tracking or any of that sort of stuff. We faxed offers back and forth, or I would call and say, "Hey Jay, I got an offer for you on your property. Where are you?" And you'd be like, "I'm at dinner." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm on my way." And I would hand you a physical.
Oh my gosh.
And then you would have to go to your client's house.
Yes.
And then you would have to call me and it was like a whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought about that 27 years ago. And then, you were either, like you said, there was no electronic signatures or anything like that. There was no dot loop. There was no
GPS.
That, that probably held me from going in earlier because I get lost with directions. But think about this. You had to know Omaha 27 years ago or the area or Iowa.
And we had maps in our car. I mean, we had literal, the kind that fold 12 times and you pull. Yes.
Get out of here. And then I'm sure after a while you became very acclimated to, hey, Dodge separates them. I still don't know that system. I still don't know. Oh, Jay, it's north of whatever. I'm like, just give me the address.
It means nothing.
When people say, do you need directions? I'm like, no. Just give me the coordinates.
Tell me, turn north. I don't, what?
Is it past McDonald's or not? Yeah.
Right or left?
So funny.
Break it down.
When they say on the southwestern corner of so-and-so, I'm like, what? Just say it in plain English.
Right.
You know? So what are some of the things that you want people to know about that time or versus now, you know, or what are some of the things that have helped you now because you grew up in the school of hard knocks?
You know, I did. And you learn, I mean, just the consistency and the tenacity to continue to, you know, I've learned a lot in the last few years. As you know, my kids are now in real estate with me.
Which I love it. They're
and
amazing.
You know, I wasn't super into the social media thing or AI or any of the things. And they've really taught me that that stuff is important too.
Yes.
But I've been able to teach them that the old school stuff is
100%.
also important.
I think that complements your team because you got a lot of people who are all social media, no follow-up on client parties or
Handwritten notes or, you know, phone calls.
Client appreciation events,
Yeah.
things of that nature. It's
Yeah.
all Instagram, right? But you're right. Yeah. How have they incorporated some of that into their business?
I think it's kind of a coming together, right? Both of them are super important. Building a business on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those things is much faster than what we did back in the day.
Yeah.
You can only sit in so many open houses. You know, you can only do so much. But now all of the things that they do with the follow-up that I've taught them,
Yes.
that's important, is really building a strong business for them.
It's a client retention strategy because it's really easy to transact one time, meet someone on Zillow, and be like, all right, Dave and Karen, thank you so much. You give a hug, you give a box of presents, and then you never contact them again.
Right. And then they use somebody else when they go to sell that house and they never refer.
Yes. And it's more than just putting a magnet on the fridge, right?
And the heart of my business, Jay, is built on referrals.
I can only imagine multi-generation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a client that comes to mind that we've done 3 transactions and I've done transactions with their kids.
Oh my, yes. That's
the kids
when you
that
know.
were little when, in our first transaction. So
I bet you get calls like, hey, I know you don't know me, but you helped my sister or my cousin, or they told me to call you. And those are blessings because maybe you may not have spoken with that client or had direct contact. You sent them notes, you sent them, emails, or you sent them, newsletters. But there's some clients that really they don't interact. But when they send you a referral from their family member, oh, hey, Daryl sent me, like, what? Those are the best blessings. And I think we're getting, in this industry with all the technology and all the reports and all the data, that's cool and everything. But the data doesn't talk about relationships. There's no way you can measure that, right?
Right. And it is a relationship business. If you want to make real estate easier, build the relationships.
I agree.
Because they'll start to come back around in 3 years or 5 years, and then you're not spending money on leads that maybe don't turn into anything.
Right.
It's 100% relationship, and you've got to have good relationships.
Plus, wouldn't you say that person, even, that you've helped guide 3 times, they know you, they trust you. There's no fight. It's all about DeDee helped me. She steered me right once, twice, 3 times. But if you don't keep in contact with them, if you don't make yourself known to them, if you don't stay relevant is what I call it, right? And staying relevant doesn't mean saying, hey, Daryl, just want to give you a CMA. No, it's, hey, your kids, are graduating college now or graduating high school or they're entering, grade school. Those are all milestones I think people miss. But I think I'm not going to turn down a sign call.
No,
right?
Absolutely not.
But if my client calls me and says, Jay, we need your help again, that conversation is just so much more pleasant.
For everybody.
Absolutely.
There's no tension. There's no fight.
Right. Suggestions are only one time.
Right. And the referrals they give you aren't hard either because, they're referring people that know and trust and love them. So it's so important. And I think some agents miss the mark on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can tell you, I think, my first few years, I was just happy to have a client, right? And as time has gone by, Becky's been doing this for 14 years. My wife has been doing this for 14 years and maybe longer, but I see the multi-generational, I see the kids buying, and I see the people that she has built a long-standing relationship with. They're pleasant, they are cordial, and they are like, yes, we trust you without saying that, Plus, think of all the time you lose when you have to convince somebody and you're like, hey, Vinny, this is not the right way to do it. Oh, well, or hey, Mary, this is not the house for you. We love this house. It's all the little things we don't think about.
Yeah.
What do you think about real estate in general? Like next 5 years, you've been doing it for 27. Next 5 years, you hear realtors have different opinions like, oh my God, the sky's falling, or hey, this is going to be an amazing market. Like, I don't pay attention to any one person. What do you think? What does DeDee Oliver think? Like, okay, what is in it for DeDee for the next 5 years, or realtors in general in Nebraska?
And I really don't pay a lot of attention to some of the doom and gloom forecasts that are out there for real estate.
Yes.
Because it will send you on a cycle of, just thinking you're defeated before people are always going to buy and sell real estate. They have to.
Yes.
And we live in a military community where that's even more prevalent than other places. So there's always going to be people who have to sell for some reason.
Right.
And you just need to be the person that's in front of them.
That's true, right?
And if you don't worry about all of the other things, or interest rates going up or down, are we going to hit a recession? Are we going to do this? I mean, I lived through that 2008, mess, and it wasn't a horrible year for me. But everyone in my office was talking about the doom and gloom, and there's not going to be any houses and all of the things. We sold a ton, but we had to shift our focus to the foreclosures.
Yeah.
So it's knowing kind of what's coming up, and we don't have those now.
Right. True, we don't.
So, but people are still buying and selling. I have first-time home buyers that are fighting for homes still.
Yes.
And then I have those in the $400,000 range listings they're taking a little bit more time right now.
And that's okay, right? But like you said, there are people, I call them hype heads, which, I hope they don't know who they are, but I call them hype heads. Oh my God, Jay, did you see what just happened? We just dropped a quarter point. Your phone's going to be busy. I don't pay attention to the noise. I don't pay attention to the opinions. What I pay attention to? The people who need service. I mean, I can't worry about next week. I can't worry about next month. Now, am I planning for a good pipeline? Absolutely. Am I serving? Am I staying in touch? But I can't sit there for 4 hours and go, I hope so-and-so. Hope is not a strategy. And the realtors that you hang out with too are important. So over 27 years, there's realtors that you've got to know really, really well, and realtors that you wish would do a little bit better, right? It's funny to me that there's a community in Omaha of realtors that really know how to reach out. They really know how to connect, being on the other side of the table. It's not about them. You know what I mean? And I've seen plenty of great agents. Help me, give me some advice for an agent on the other side of the transaction that is just making it difficult, and maybe what advice you'd give somebody. I know that's a hard question, but you know what? Be direct. Who cares? I've been on the other side of crazy people.
Yeah. Well, and I can tell you stories. I tell my team stories when I'm training new agents on my team or within my company. I tell them a lot of the stories that have helped me get to where I'm at. And, don't be a jerk on the other side of the transaction.
Ever.
We all have the same goal, right?
Yes.
The goal is to get this thing to the closing table.
Absolutely.
And working together is always the best strategy.
It is, because people remember you. I just remember there are people that on my first few transactions, they were just so giving and so, I will remember them forever, and I want to go out of the way to make sure that when I'm done with the transaction, not only for my client, but to make sure to show a little bit of appreciation. It goes a long way, and it doesn't have to be very expensive at all. It could be a car.
And it doesn't have to be expensive at all.
Right.
Like, hey, I really appreciated working with you. So let me tell you a quick story.
Yes.
When we were in the market, the crazy, crazy market where, 12 offers on a house and over and all the things, right?
Writing it in the parking lot.
Yeah, right. Like, it came on the market 5 minutes ago. I had 2 instances where, we were one of multiple offers. And for all practical purposes, these offers were exactly the same. Like, every single thing was exactly the same.
God.
And I heard this story twice. And one of the agents called me up and she said, we're going with your offer. And here's what it came down to. They said, how do we choose? They're the same. How do we choose? And she said, I can tell you which agent will be the best one to work with. It happened twice.
It's so true.
Because if it's me and I'm easy to work with,
yes,
or it's some person that's going to make this transaction difficult.
Yes, high communication. Get me the paperwork when. Let's follow the walkthrough.
Pleasant.
Yes.
Be pleasant. I think it's critical They remember you when you're good, and they remember you when you're not good to work with.
Absolutely.
So I think and I tell my team that all the time. You want agents to remember you in a good,
I think, especially with technology these days, when you're on an airplane and you're texting another agent, right? Like, first of all, who's texting on an airplane? Everyone. You get lost in the keyboard warrior stuff, you know what I mean? And they text and you get a little overheated and you're like, nope, we're not doing that. Like, the context of technology doesn't translate. So what I'm saying is, I had someone who's really like just rude, which I can handle. I'm not afraid of people being rude or whatever, or short or unprofessional. But when you get face to face, people change their tone. They really do. They soften up a little bit. And I just want people to remember on the other side of the table is another human being. And yes, we're standing up for our client. Yes, everyone wins, but we're really arguing over a 0.5% difference sometimes on price or negotiation, or, it's 3,000 off. Like, are we fighting about this? How do we get it, to the table? Again, this is not a master class on how to be a nice realtor, but this kind of does a connection with me.
I think it's important to remember too, not only is the agent another human being, but the clients in this transaction are also human beings. I think every realtor should have to move every 5 to 7 years so that we know we should be forced.
Yes, that's so good.
Because if you move, you understand what they're dealing with, getting rid of stuff and setting things up and the heightened emotional state of
closing on time
and all the things that they can't handle, right? So we have to remember first and foremost that our clients are human beings. They don't do this every day. We do this every day. We know there's going to be some things come up. We're going to handle it, right? Mm-hmm. You may not even know all of the things that come up that we deal with during a transaction because we just handle it.
And we don't need to tell them, right? I think for all the things that they hear about, there's probably 3-4 things in the background that we've just handled, right? Either between the lender, between title, between the other agent, between the city, between some, and there's things that we take care of on our own, right? That just, we don't need to call our client up and say, you know what? I saved you.
Yeah.
Thank God the concrete company got back to us and I saved you $150. Like, yeah, there are people that will do that, right? I call it virtue signaling, right? Oh, you're so lucky I saved this transaction. I'm like, oh, well, thank you. Like, you didn't want this one to close either, but, no, let's further the conversation. So you serve the military community. You have a military family background. Let's talk about that. The military community, specifically in Papillion, right? Describe it. Like, you've been other bases, you've been other places, right? You've served these people through transition, and you've went through transition as military too.
Right.
What do you want people to know about the military, the part where you serve the military people?
I think it's really important, again, understanding all of the emotional things that they're going through, moving to a new community. Maybe they've never ever been here.
Right.
We've got a really great packet for someone who's never been to Omaha. Just pretend you've never been in the area before.
Oh, that's cool.
So we can tell you, if you like museums, parks, botanical gardens, all the cool things about our city and surrounding cities, right? Papillion, Bellevue, all of that. Because if I'm coming in, it's no different than I'm going on vacation and you get all this great information about all the cool things to do.
Yeah, true.
And it helps them decide, where do they want to live? Do they want to be close to base? Do they want to be a little bit away from base? Do they want to be out in the country? Because we put a lot of military people in Glenwood.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah. My first thoughts when I was getting stationed here was like, what's there to do? And even then, DeDee, had I had some kind of central document or a book, like you said, it would have helped me acclimate more because I felt isolated when I moved here. I felt like.
And you went directly to Bellevue because that's where the base was.
That's all I knew. Yeah. And I didn't want to venture out and nobody held my hand.
Whereas at that time in your life, I could have seen you more downtown.
True. You know what?
But you didn't know that.
No, not at all. And I was so afraid of leaving the bubble. I think that's important, DeDee, because I have heard people, and I've been on this other side too in my rookie days when somebody wanted to PCS to Offutt, move to Offutt. And I was not making stuff up, but I was pulling stuff out of the air like, oh, you're looking for schools with special needs. And I didn't have that resource on, oh, Bellevue Public Schools is amazing, or Papillion. And I really didn't know, but I heard, I was telling them, where's the population?
Well, you didn't have kids in school back then.
Correct.
So you didn't know anything about.
It's so true, though.
It's so, nothing.
I didn't know anything from anything, but that's so funny. I'm almost like, can I get a copy of that? No, of course, I'm sure you put it together, but that's going above and beyond, right? That's connecting with your military community.
And I think asking them the questions, what is important to you? Because I know a lot of people, I've had friends say to me, oh, you live in Nebraska, so you're a farmer then.
Corn. No, we have running water.
No. I have, indoor potties. Yeah. So that's what people think in Nebraska, though. They think farms, they think cattle, they think corn. And it's like we have so much more to offer. So asking them the questions, what is important to you in your new home, your new location? Do you have a family? Do you want a yard? Do you want to be downtown? We've got great condos. We've got great townhomes. We've got country living. We've got all of it.
And which is crazy because all that you said, even talking to my dad now who lives in California, he can't picture it unless someone really describes it to him. You know what I mean? And there's no central resource. But like I said, I mean, from a military standpoint, again, we're tying this into the military. It's important that you have a realtor who knows the landscape, right? And someone like DeDee who's been doing this for 27 years. And you've seen every cycle, you've seen every trick, you've seen every, oh my gosh, you've seen 2008. You saw all the things that just led to other doom and gloom things, but you're here 27 years later where you can say, I'm sure you had a lot of colleagues that started out that you kind of knew that they're not doing this anymore.
Doing this anymore.
No, it takes a backbone.
Even recently, people got in when it was so easy, like when the homes were selling so fast.
Instagram homies, that's what I call them. Hey, look at this, gone in 5 minutes, call me.
But now that we're in a different market, they don't know how to navigate that. I really believe it's better to start like where I started, where you're fighting and you're scratching and you're clawing for everything that you get.
Yes.
Because then in an easy market, it's a cakewalk. But then when the market shifts again, you know, okay, now I'm back to clawing and scratching, and not in a bad way, just that now I gotta change my focus. And that's one thing people don't do in this industry. They think it's always going to be just like,
yes, no.
And they don't want to, they don't want to do social media. They don't want to, use AI. They don't want to do all these things, and you're going to be phased out.
Some realtors don't even use a database, and they think it's just a spreadsheet that you just email everyone every now and then. No, it's true developing relationships. You have people that you're very connected with. You have people that just love you as a resource, and you have people that are very neutral and just say, listen, I don't need anything.
When I do, I'll call you.
Yeah, when I do, I'll call you, which is great, right? But you have to know your people. Because if you don't, you can lose half of your database. I made that number up, but you can lose a lot of people by not knowing them.
Knowing how they want to communicate,
Absolutely.
How much they want to hear from you. I love being in a neighborhood. I'm driving through a neighborhood and I sold you your house. And I see that you did this beautiful landscaping project and you painted your house. And I send you a text, Jay, I just drove by your house. It looks fantastic.
Yes.
That's a touch.
Oh, and it's an authentic touch. It's not you saying, hey, let's get you a CMA now, right? It's you saying, I notice you, I see you, and they spent money on it. And when your client's like, oh, dang, DeDee, were you in the name? You should have stopped by. Right? But you're like, no, I'm not going to ring the doorbell at 2:40 in the afternoon and have you in your pajamas, right?
Right.
But there's a time and a place.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place.
It doesn't have to be as hard as we make it, honestly.
I know. You see all these influencers on social media. Spend $2,900. We'll get you luxury listings, 3 of them in the next 60 days or pay nothing. Like, I don't know if I want to build a business like that. Listen, I'd love luxury listings, but I love to serve the people who need me at the time. Do I still do $160,000 houses? Do I do $1.6 million houses?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't ever look at it as a volume or a transaction. I look at it as someone who needs a home, and we'll talk about that. So let's transition into the 50-mile march.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we reconnected. You saw this. How long ago did you notice the 50-mile march?
Well, probably in the early days, in the first, the first year, probably. Yeah. Maybe
what is Jay
the second
doing now?
year. Yeah,
what is Jay doing?
Jay's always doing something, okay? So I think I told you, I don't know if it was the first year, maybe the second year. I was driving down, I believe it was Center Street.
Yes.
And I saw you guys marching, but what I noticed first was Matt Bills
Yes.
hanging out the top of a sunroof with his camera.
Yes.
And I kind of turned on my camera and, so anyway, I was like, oh, there they go. So I've known about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know
about it.
I didn't really know about it. I honestly didn't pay a ton of attention, didn't know it was going to be a thing every single year.
Right? I thought it was going to be
yeah.
crazy.
It's amazing is what it is.
It's a healing journey too for a lot of people and especially myself. But back to, your observation and then we reconnected just recently again. For the first time, we probably interacted more than 5 times in a 2-month period. And I started paying attention. And I know you used to always speak about your dad. You know what I mean? But I never listened, DeDee. Do you understand? Like I can hear,
right,
but I never listened. And, and I want to talk about Marvin now. Okay? And I know this is going to be hard.
It's going to be okay.
It's going to be good. Let's breathe. Okay. So I'll do most of the talking for a second. I've always known DeDee to be a compassionate person and someone who really, I've always known you as a great mom. I always saw you as a real estate agent. Yes. But every time I saw you, I kept asking, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? Like, no, this is who she is. She serves people, and then recently you were on, American Dream TV and you still are and you were filming and you're like, Jay, I'd like to do a story on the 50 Mile March. And we got there and then that's where we started talking about Dad.
Right.
I want to talk about Marvin Edward Park. And I will link a lot of the information here in the About section. I just want to talk about your dad for a second. So you were, your dad was in the military.
Correct.
And he served in the Army.
Yes.
Right. And I want people to see this because when this is an airborne patch and not many people get to wear this. And I know DeDee doesn't know exactly all the years and all those things, but let's talk about your dad served during the Vietnam era. What do you know of your dad's service? What little or what? I know there's a whole box here, but what do you remember of your dad's service or what stories did you hear of?
Well, I don't have any memories of my dad.
Okay.
Personal memories.
Personal memories. But I'm saying the stories passed down to you.
This book was made for me by one of his good friends from childhood. They also served together.
Okay. It's okay.
I've heard it all, and I think I shut a lot out just because they were in a combat zone, and that's really all that I know.
And your father was killed in action. I want to display this now to give DeDee a breather for a second, but I will have an explanation of this entire shadow box in the description as well. But I want people to know that this is just a ribbon and brass and metal. This is awarded to people who deserve these medals, and the military takes it very seriously. This is not everyone participates. I just want people to know when you're listening to this next part, this was DeDee's dad. And this was someone's son. And this was someone who fought and died for our country. And paid the ultimate sacrifice. So, DeDee, learn of your dad that you want people to know about, or, some of the things that we discussed. I know you have a lot of memories of him, but what are some of the things you're able to talk about now?
My family, both sides, my dad's family, my mom's family, and my mom, kept my dad alive for me. He was a bit of a wild child. I know it's probably hard for you to believe, right? You see anything going on here? But he was a little bit of a hellion, and not in a bad way, never in trouble with the law, but, he was a wild teenager. I heard stories from my grandmother, my aunts and uncles growing up, and now his friends, and I just went to a funeral in his hometown, which is Bedford, Iowa, and some guy was telling me the story of how my dad stole his truck and got it stuck in the mud, and I thought I think it's hilarious.
Yes, now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So those are the things that I love to hear about who he was growing up and who he was as a person. I don't think he was a great student. He wasn't a great athlete, but he was lovable and likable, and people still talk about him today. I wish I had memories, but I don't.
And there are people who never got to meet their parent, right? Or father or mother went away and they weren't able to meet. Or there's some people who just haven't ever even connected. But what are some other things that you want people to know? Like, some of the stories, maybe from mom or from any of did dad have brothers or sisters?
He had one brother and two sisters. Well, three sisters, but one died as an infant. So I had two aunts and an uncle. A great network of family. My family still lives in the Bedford, Iowa area. A lot of my family still farms. So it is a small farm family. My grandmother lived on their family farm until we literally had to kick her out. We took her literally kicking and screaming out of that farmhouse, but she couldn't maneuver it anymore. So just a really good, wholesome, down home guy that his family was important to him, whether it be brothers, sisters, my mom, me.
So when different times of the year come up, Memorial Day or a Veterans Day, or did you always pay attention this much now as you were growing up, or has it just gotten stronger lately as you've gotten older?
It's gotten stronger as I've gotten older. His friends, Steve Batten and Steve Mick, who have come into my life through the memorials that they have in Bedford, and they fill in a lot of gaps for me because they were there with him. They were also, my grandmother thought he could do no wrong. So he was the baby. Yes. And my grandmother thought he could do no wrong. Mm-hmm. And so it's my uncle and my aunts and these friends who are filling in those gaps for me of the things my grandmother used to see, which is great.
Do you ever just call every now and then just to seek out, a thought or do they reach out to you? Like, how's that now? I mean, is there something that you guys do as a family when you gather, or is it just talk about it at random spot?
Yep, I am reconnected with my uncle. We had kind of lost touch for a while. Okay. Reconnected with him, so that's been really fun. He's just kind of a grumpy old farmer guy. Love him to death. Still connected with these guys. And so they just sent me they went to my dad's grave on Memorial Day, posted a picture on Facebook, and then, the conversations kind of started again, which is really fun to see that after 56 years, people still talk about him and they still remember.
It's important, though, that we always say the name and carry the memory. We have to remember, and this blew me away. Okay, so let's go backwards, right? So there was you were born. Yeah. You had mom and dad, correct?
Right.
Mom and dad had mom and dad. Mom and dad, you're on your mom's side now. We're just had a mom and dad. Do you understand the slight chance or the odds of you being born of your father? Do you get what I'm saying? You had to come from 1,000-something people, right, to be one. And then we think life is just some simple, we're just born. And I think of this a lot. And like you said, you can carry you do carry your dad's likeness. You are his daughter, right? And I guess what I'm trying to say is, as long as you keep sharing the story, as long as you keep saying Marvin's name, as long as you have something to share with other people, his name will live. You know what I mean? We talked about this, and I don't do this for many people. Last year, I walked for 5 people, and every person that I walk for has either I'm connected or I feel a connection. It's not just like, hey, I'm gonna just, do this. It's meaningful to me. So this year, I will be walking for Marvin Edward Park. I will have his picture on my back. I'll have a QR code. It will link to this conversation. It will link to other photos and things of that nature. But I would be really honored if you allowed me to do that for you, for your dad, really. It's almost crazy as we just sit here and look at a box of medals, how disconnected we are. But each one of these, mean something. We always talk about in the military, they gave, some gave all and all gave some and some gave all. I mean, your father gave all. And, you didn't grow up with a father, right? Or at least, with Marvin. And
Jay, well, and in that, I have a wonderful father now. My mom remarried.
Yes. Understood.
But not knowing. How do you miss something that you never knew? But you do. So as a child who never knows their father, that's a void that's hard to explain because people are like, well, happened a long time ago. You didn't know it. Well, that makes it harder, right?
Justify you know what I'm saying? It's like, I think what makes you so connected to him are the stories, are the people, the way they revere your dad, even the stolen truck story, and people are laughing about it, but
that brings him to life.
Brings him to life. Yes.
It keeps him alive for me. And I'm super thankful for the fact that, my mom made sure I stayed connected to my dad's family. I spent my summers in Bedford, Iowa. It is the greatest experience of my life. It's a small town.
Yeah.
It's easygoing. My whole family, I think I was related to the whole town.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But it was, my grandma and I would sit down and we would go through these boxes, and she has I have his baby book. So she saved everything for me. And she used to tell me, I can't give this to you. You can have this when I pass, but I have to hold on to it.
Yeah.
And I get it. And my aunts made sure I got it. Literally, Jay, there are boxes and boxes and boxes of things, but she kept him alive for me. And then, just being with my family.
Yeah.
And getting to know him as best as I could through them.
So, well, you see, it's your family, right? It's your DNA, first of all. It's your bloodline. But I will tell you that I don't need to know who your family is, but I can just tell the way that the feelings were transferred that your father was a very good man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you said, the baby of the family, he could do no wrong. Like, I don't know your dad at all, nor have I ever seen a photo per se, but I could feel your feelings talking about your dad because your family passed down the right stories. But he wasn't perfect, right? He grew up, like you said, a hooligan. Is that what you said?
I mean, he drove demolition derby cars, if that tells you anything. Stole motorcycles. I mean, he was just a farm kid out there, running the country roads. Yeah.
But,
and I want to tell you too, Jay, that he died trying to save someone else. That's what
the valor is for. And again, I'll highlight those on the letters, but let's think of that for a second. It's one thing to defend your buddy in a bar fight, right? Or stand ground and chest to chest I've seen people fight, right? I've seen people argue,
right?
To lay down your life. We talk about this in the military all the time, and I want to tell people in the military that, and people who are not in the military, these people, some of them knew what they were getting into and some didn't. And they did it anyway. Yeah. And we hope for safety and we pray for well-being, but this is a story that needs to be honored. Your father sacrificed his life so that somebody else may live. Do you know if that other person is still, or have they heard stories that?
I don't.
You don't? Yeah.
No, I don't. And I'm sure it's in this book.
Oh, I'm sure.
This book is incredible.
Tell me a little bit about the book so that people can get context.
So this book came from Steve Batten. He made me this book. He was a childhood friend of my dad's and served in Vietnam with him. The other gentleman that I've been reconnected with over the last probably 10, 12 years is Steve Mick. So they were childhood friends and served in Vietnam with my dad. But this book is about where they were and what they did. And there's photos. And so probably my most prized possession.
I mean, right here it says, I hope these records of pictures and comments will be future importance to DeDee's family on how life in Vietnam was like for her father and our troops during the Vietnam War of 1969. Here, I'll share with you, Unit C Battery, 1st Battalion, 77th Artillery, 1st Cavalry Division. Again, being, I mean, this is more important than any history book that you could ever have in any context of any learning institution. This is real. These are stories of depictions and things that have happened.
And Steve is a great resource. He's always available if I need him. We're connected on Facebook. I have his cell phone number. Happy to answer questions if I might have them or fill in more blanks. So this is more in depth than anything else that I have ever had.
This is incredible, DeDee. For someone to put this together, really revered your father.
Yep.
And of course, for you, I mean, I can't tell you even what happened last week. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jay, what did you do last week? Oh, we were busy.
Yeah, trust me, I know.
I mean,
Trying to connect.
right? Yeah. The cigarettes from the care packages were old, left over from World War II. We got Camel non-filtered, Lucky Strike, some modern up-to-date cigarettes like Winston filtered, Salem menthol, or Marlboro filtered too. Those Camels and Lucky Strikes are really strong. I mean, can you imagine these were kids?
Right. They were kids. And the details in this book are sometimes hard for me to read and to see.
Oh my gosh. Marvin Park walking by my artillery gun #1, I would holler at him, "Hey, Iowa," as he walked by, and he always waved. And there's a picture of your father waving.
I love that picture.
Yeah, that is huge. I'm going to show all these pictures, but, writing letters, it says he's writing a letter to home at this time, and the lost art of handwriting, as we were speaking earlier, of just writing letters.
And Jay, I have all those letters.
That's incredible.
I have all the letters to my mom and all the letters to my grandmother.
Wow.
So
when were you born then? How long after your father passed were you born, or were you born?
I was born in April of 1968.
Okay.
So don't do the math on that.
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
Yeah.
And my dad was killed May 12th of 1969. So I was just 13 months old.
So again, not even having any. You were 13 months. You know what I mean?
And I have pictures. You've seen pictures of me and my dad together. He was gone most of my life. He wasn't there when I was born.
Right.
He did come back. We did get to spend time together, but not a lot. And so it was, and my mom was young. My mom was a 19-year-old widow.
You know what's crazy? Well, first of all, 19-year-old widow. But do you know what's crazy is we tell kids today, my daughter just got married. She's 21. I'm like, you're young, but your mom was 19 years old, had you, and a 19-year-old widow.
A 19-year-old widow. Yeah.
People are working at Starbucks right now at 20 who haven't lived a full life yet. Your mom lived a full life by 19 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And is mom still with us then? Okay.
Yeah.
How old is mom now?
She'll be 75 this year, and she will kick your butt for asking that question. But okay. All right, Mom.
I'd love to do a documentary. I'd love to do a documentary of this whole thing. I mean, I really would, DeDee.
Yeah.
Because to connect, for your dad, Marvin, to be connected to all these people and live through all these people, I think we can learn some amazing things from that. But it just blows my mind. And I'm probably not doing a great job on this podcast right now of following what you're saying. But DeDee, this is so, I'm following what you're saying. I'm feeling what you're saying. But this is so surreal to me. I almost forgot we were podcasting for a second. I want to continue this. I really do. Again, I want most people to know they hear things, right? But they never listen. And DeDee, I apologize to you. I never listened. You were my friend, and, hey, how are you? But I think there's something to learn there is listen to the people around you. Listen to the story. It goes beyond the happy hours, the get-togethers, all the parties, but your father tied together a lot of people. And how old was Dad when he was killed in action?
He was born in 47, so 21.
21 years old, right? But to have this big of impact on all these people I have friends that have passed away. I have friends I've never done anything like this for them. I've never, hey, sorry for your loss, or hey, let me tell you a story about your mom or your dad. Never anything to this extent and this documented. And most service members will never get a shadow box like this. They served. Not a big deal. They did 4 years, whatever, but they moved on. DeDee, you knew me when I was in my uniform still.
I did.
I didn't even know what I was. DeDee, after I left the military, I didn't care that I was in the military. You know what I mean? After I left, I was like, yeah, whatever. And for years, I really didn't talk about it, connect about it, almost ashamed of it, but.
Jay, I think as we get older, because we've known each other, and like I said, I knew you were doing this 50-mile march. I didn't listen, right?
Right.
I didn't pay attention to what it really was or the impact that it was having. And I see that now very clearly with us doing the American Dream Show.
Yes.
The people, I'm amazed at how dedicated. This isn't just something that you get up some weekend and you walk 50 miles. You guys are out there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. There are criteria that you have to raise funds. You have to do all the things. It's not just a walk. It's not just a walk. And I know you say something.
We call it a movement. We call it a movement. Or I don't know what, I say a lot of things, but.
You say interested and committed are two different things.
100%.
And these people are committed. We saw that at the tryout.
I know, isn't that crazy?
It's insane.
Did you even know that day what it would be like when I said,
no.
Hey, come meet me?
Well, you said we have a tryout. And I'm like, you have a tryout?
Like what?
Seriously? It's just walking.
Exactly.
But the pictures from the old walks and like truly, and those people put their bodies through, they burned through a pair of shoes. They carry, how heavy was that backpack thing?
We did 15 as a minimum, but some people were carrying 60 and 25 and 50.
And it's hot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was a 9-year-old and 70. Well, the oldest here was like 66, but we had a remote qualifier, Chip Frazier, who is 73, 74, and he's walking in this year. This will be his 4th year, I believe.
If you guys haven't watched it or seen it, go look it up at their website, which is 50milemarch.org.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because it's truly incredible, and it is all about our veterans, and it is all about helping those who are struggling, the veterans that are struggling.
Think about it. When you're dead, Vietnam was not a great time for our country, and you hear all the stories of the people who did come back. Well, your dad didn't come back. And I want people to remember that Vietnam wasn't just bad for the people who came back and got spit on. It was bad for the people who never came back and their families. And I just, DeDee, like I said, I want to continue this conversation. I want to thank you today for even spending the time. You just never know which way a podcast is going to go. But I do know one thing is there's more story to tell. There's more of your story to tell. There's more to document. I'd love to travel to Bedford and talk to, seriously, it would be fun. It would be a whole day.
Junction?
Yes. And then we can have people and then when we put all this together, it's not going to be difficult, but I just want to
They would be there. I mean, we would have a crowd of people that would be there, truly and honestly.
I would love it. I think there's a way to do this. I want to get a good professional crew out there. There's a story to talk about Marvin Park. There really is.
Do it.
And he is not someone that just gave up his life in vain. He did it for our country. He did it so you and I could sit here today. He did it so that people can be free, so that people could have rights and enjoy what we call this United States of America. We need to put aside our disagreements and our notions of what a perfect world is. And we just need to remember Marvin Park, who sacrificed his life. Who was your dad?
Yeah.
Killed in action, and not for anything except to serve his country and carry out a mission. And too often the news and movies and it over glorifies, and this is not glorious. These medals are not glorious. They're a depiction of the bravery and the zeal and the character. But these don't even tell the story, I don't know. Is there anything else that you want to say before we?
I appreciate you walking in his honor.
Absolutely. I promise you, I will not complain. I will not complain one bit, and I will tell his story proudly. I want to get to know it better because I want people to ask me, and I want to share the story of Marvin Park, and I want to listen to you. I want to learn more because we don't listen. And I hope if nothing else from this podcast that you all, whether you're watching or listening to this, listen to those around you. It costs nothing. Just a little bit of time. You know what I mean? Just a little bit of time.
We've lost the art of connection. And as I get older, that gets more and more important.
It does.
True, genuine connection with people that you love is a precious gift. It really is.
Well, thank you for joining us, DeDee. Thank you. And more to come.
Yeah.
Way more to come.
Thanks for having me. And thanks for walking for him.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in to The Connection. It's been a fantastic journey exploring stories, insights, and inspirations that bridge our lives. Remember, every connection has the power to transform. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Your feedback keeps us going. In this connected world, let's make meaningful connections that enrich lives. Now, signing off until next time. The Connection. Keep connecting and let's go.